Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing?
Doing great, Eric. I'm just back from vacation, so I have to figure out what to do again.
Getting back in the swing of things.
That's it.
Well, yeah, we've talked a lot about the importance of vacations and winding down, so it's good that you got that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody gets a chance to go to New Mexico, I highly recommend it. It's just beautiful out there.
So today we're going to talk about network marketing, better known as multi-level marketing or MLMs. And Chip, I believe you know a bit about the history of these.
Yeah.
So why don't we start there?
Yeah, I mean, basically, network marketing, it goes back a long way, like to the 40s and whatever. Basically, it says a little bit of background here. During the Industrial Revolution of the 1800s, a large number of new products were being invented that needed to be sold to consumers. And they were also very, very complex, and they needed explaining to potential buyers. And obviously, that's a great part of network marketing, is understanding what your product is. So it began to hit stride following World War II in the 1940s, and two of the first big ones was the California Vitamin Company, which was renamed Nutrilite in 1939, and then the California Perfume Company, which everybody I'm sure has heard the word Avon. And basically in 1959, it really took off when two people who used to work for Nutrilite, were Rick DeVos and Jan Van Andel, founded Amway. And Amway has turned into obviously a huge multi-level marketing company. They actually own the Amway Center, which houses the Orlando Magic of the NBA. And they also do a lot of online things and whatever. Very well-respected people. And now there's, MLNs for all different kinds of things. And obviously one of the neat things about it is the way that it's set up, is that what you are entrusted to do is sell your product to consumers, but you can also recruit other sales representatives who sell product. And those are the two ways that you get paid. You get commission on everything that you sell to the people who are just customers of yours, and then what's called your downline, which are distributors that are also selling the product. You actually get a piece of the action of all that, what they sell, which is going on too. And we've referenced books like Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Rich Man,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and talking about different things that you can do on the side. And these days, we are talking about, the side gigs and that kind of thing. And getting involved in one of these things is very, very easy to do. It's very inexpensive, and it is potentially very lucrative. And my taste of it was about a dozen years ago. I got involved with a company called Send Out Cards, which is basically a do-it-yourself greeting card company. The company itself is a distribution center based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And basically, if you walk in to Send Out Cards, you're going to see printing presses, card stock, employees, and gifts. And the way the system works is that they have a website, sendoutcards.com, which you go to. And in there are like 15,000 stock cards. Plus, you have the ability to customize your cards. You can build them from scratch yourself or just customize the messages. And you plug in your contact manager, and you can put them in groups with birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. So you get reminded to send cards. And once you do the work, all you do is pull up a contact, click the send button, and they do all the work out there. And a couple of days later, the card shows up in somebody's mailbox. And what really turned me onto it is the founder of the company, Cody Bateman, basically founded the company because he ignored a prompting to reach out in kindness to his brother. And basically what happened was he was out he went to school for marketing, and he had a internship going on in New York City, and they wanted to hire him. So they were going to have to move out there, and he had to go back to Salt Lake City to collect all of his belongings. And as he was leaving, he said goodbye to his parents, but his brother was parking cars out in the field, and he just waved goodbye to his brother, although he had a strong prompting to give him a hug goodbye because, he wasn't going to see him for a while. And he gets back to New York and gets a phone call about 2 months later that his brother was killed, electrocuted in an accident working for his father as an electrician. and all he could think about was his ignored prompting to give his brother a hug. And that's something that lived with him. And he said that he was going to build something that was based upon acting upon a prompting so that he would never ignore a prompting again and give somebody else a tool to act upon their promptings. And that's where send out cards eventually came from. And what really turned me on about it is basically what cards are all about is just unsolicited gratitude. And we talk about, being unconditional givers a lot, but think about when you receive a card in the mail just out of the blue from somebody just saying, I appreciate you, happy birthday, or this or that, or congratulations. And this is such an easy way to do it. Whereas before, the value added with this is if you wanted to send out a card before, you would have to go to the store, pay about $5-6 for the card. The cards and send out cards only cost about $2. And then what you have to do is you have to remember to send it, you have to mail it, and all this other kind of stuff. And what this does is you just spend a couple minutes on the computer and it's a done deal. So being a gratitude person myself, I really, really latched onto this. And when I found out about the system, I just said, I love this system. And then I found out, hey, it's an MLM, it's a network marketing company. I said, wow, sign me up, because this is something that I love to do, spreading the words. And when I was working the company well about 10 years ago, I did have a downline of around 200 people. And even though I haven't worked it that much the last couple of years, I'm still getting cash in the bank a couple of times a month due to my efforts back then. So it does pay off over and over again. And it's a really, really wonderful setup. But as you mentioned, it does get a bad rap in a lot of areas because some people talk about things called pyramid schemes, where people just sign you up to get your money, and then eventually you're going to get a share of what's going down. And this is proved to be illegal, because the bottom line is the more people you recruit, the less likely people are to profit in the downlines. And a lot of these things have been ruled illegal, and people have gotten in big trouble for doing these. Whereas the MLM model is just basically getting customers and distributors to sell products to customers, not investments. So
right,
I'm
and
sure
that's something that we can't stress enough, is that the difference between the network marketing model and a pyramid scheme is the product being sold. The purpose of the network marketing model is to sell product. What separates it from the pyramid schemes?
Yeah, absolutely. And the bottom line is there are all kinds of regulations out there now to for network marketing companies that they have to be, in compliance with in order to operate. So, some of the other ones, the more famous ones that you've heard about out there besides Avon, are things like Mary Kay, Tupperware. There's newer ones like doTERRA, and there's a whole lot of other things, Melaleuca. And there's a lot of different other types of things that you can sell too. So if you go online, you can research all these things. But it's really, really important, that you do your research up front and, ask yourself some questions. But it can be a very, very inexpensive way to get into a business and work it. And so it's, I'm sure that you've heard of some lesser experiences from a lot of people, and a lot of people have a misconception about pyramid schemes. And if you are getting into network marketing and the first time you talk to somebody, the person you're talking to is liable to say to you, is this a pyramid scheme?
Right. Yeah, you do have to be careful if you're interested in getting involved with a network marketing company. You do have to do your research, because aside from the network marketing model itself, there are unscrupulous companies using the model, and you really need to pay attention. There was one company I came across a number of years ago that somebody was working for. I don't remember the name of it, but they were selling these pills, and their whole pitch was it was based on stem cells. Well, stem cells don't work in pills. That's not how stem cells operate. So their products were frauds, and they decided to use the network marketing model because they couldn't get these into any stores, but they could find people to sell them through this model. So you have to be very careful and pay attention, not just to what the company is selling, but how it's selling it. because a lot of these companies, even very reputable ones, tend to use sales pitches that are either don't hold up. And an example rather hit me just a few days ago. The company Arbonne, which sells vitamin supplements and makeup, posted on Instagram their growth rate. And they had it compared to Amazon and Google, and they have a higher growth rate than Amazon and Google. Well, technically, that's true. But when you look into the figures, they're a much smaller company. When you go from 1 million to 2 million in sales, that's 100% growth rate. When you're at the $1 billion level, it's a lot 100%. So they're using these statistics that aren't going to help you in sales, and they're really not above board. So you have to be very careful when you're researching these companies.
Yeah, and absolutely. I'll get into the do's and the don'ts as far as network marketing, but that's one of the things that you can't do is oversell, misrepresent, and that kind of thing. But one of the things about network marketing is there are 3 types of network marketing. The first one is direct marketing, which is basically just product sales without recruiting distributors. The newest one, which is out there thanks to the internet, is the affiliate marketing. And this is being an affiliate with Amazon and these other websites where you can actually, just by putting them on your website and so on and so forth, and putting down a claimer there that you are, registered to do this and that kind of thing, is a great way to get sales that way too. And that is a form of network marketing, is to be an affiliate program. And then the multi-levels, what we're just talking about, is where you actually sell product, but also recruit distributors for your downline to sell the product also. So there's an article that I read that has 6 questions that you should ask before joining an organization. First of all, before that, think about things that you love to do, just like we've talked about before. I mean, if there's different things that you really like doing, you can look up online and see if there are companies that do that kind of stuff. And this is an easy way to try out doing that. But the 6 questions that this article recommends asking before you join an organization is, number 1, how old's the company? What kind of a track record do they have? What product and services do they offer, obviously? And is it something that you yourself find valuable? Number 3 is, how fair and generous is the pay distribution? In other words, what's their comp schedule? And most of the time you can go to their websites and look that up. Number 4 is, what's the integrity of the company? And you can research that online just using Google and asking questions. Number 5 is, does the company have good momentum and timing? In other words, what's their track record for growth? And then what support or training is offered by the company? One of the neat things these days, and that I've always had with Send Out Cards, is a great back office where I can always look up my downline, my commissions. They have training portals as far as tutorials in there that I can show to people. And it's, that kind of thing is really, really important. The other thing too is, most people get into it, obviously, because it is based upon relationships through another person. And the closer you are to that person that is getting you in, the better off you're going to be, because mentoring people, being mentored yourself when you're getting involved in the business, is so, so important. And then if you have a downline system, you're going to want to be mentoring the people who are in your downline too. Through a little bit of training. We used to have events for Send Out Cards where we would bring people in who were interested in the business, but also for training purposes that were just brief. So that kind of thing is really, really important. It's a support mechanism, and it's really all based upon relationships. So it's really, really important to do your due diligence before you get involved with that. So those are just some questions that you can ask.
And when you're doing your due diligence, I highly recommend watching some people who are already involved, because that gives you an idea of what they're being encouraged to do. I've been at networking events